I've
This
had meetings.
conference will now be recorded.
Thank you, Cindy. There have been times where I've gone over a year without a BZA meeting. So this is the first meeting of 2021. It's appropriate that we elect officers. I will say that traditionally, but not by any type of council policy or ordinance or anything, the vice chair and chair have been the appointed members of the Planning Commission and HPC. So that's how this membership is arrived at. The mayor typically appoints 2 council members and himself, and then Andy Davis as the chair of the Planning Commission, and then Larry Potts as chair of the HPC are also then appointed as their position. So at this point, I will call the March 9th, 2021 meeting of the Board of Zoning Appeals and Adjustments to order. And at this point, it's appropriate to have the election of officers, and I would need a nomination for the position of chairperson.
I'd like, this is Potts, I'd like to nominate Andy.
We have a motion by Potts. Is there a second to that motion?
Noel will second that.
I have a second by Noel. I have to ask, are there any further nominations? Hearing none, I will say all in favor of electing Andy Davis as chair of the BZA for 2021, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Congratulations, Mr. Davis. Would you like me to continue to administer the meeting?
Yes, please.
Okay, I need a motion and a second for the position of vice chairman.
I would in turn move that Mr. Potts be the vice chair.
Thank you. There's our second to Mr. Davis's motion.
Carrie Johnson will second.
A motion by Davis, second by Johnson to nominate Larry Potts as vice chair of the BZA for 2021. Are there any other further nominations? Hearing and expecting none, I will say all in favor of Mr. Potts assuming the position of vice chair for 2021, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Congratulations to the two of you. At this point, I will ask for approval of the agenda. I will note that under new business, Drew Tolzman, 1003 Mason Street, it should be conditional use permit and then convenience storage instead of conditional use permit, conditional use permit. Would there be anyone willing to make a motion to approve the agenda with that noted correction?
Noel will move.
I have a motion by Noel. Is there a second?
Davis will second.
And a second by Davis. Any further discussion? Again, hearing and expecting none. All in favor of approval of the agenda, say aye.
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 The agenda is approved. We have the minutes of the October 15th, 2020 Assembly of the Board of Zoning Appeals that are presented on pages 1 and 2, anticipating your approval. But if not, are there any noted corrections or alterations?
I think Shannon's name was condensed there, two names into one or something, but that's a typographical problem.
Oh, there's a space there. We'll note the spacing typo on page 1 in the second paragraph. It's Shannon.
Shannon.
So thank you, Mr. Potts. Are there any noted corrections? If not, would there be a motion to approve with that noted typographical error?
I'd so move.
Thank you, Larry. Is there a second?
Carrie Johnson will second.
I will go with Member Johnson with the second. We have a motion and a second approval of the October 15th, 2020 meeting minutes. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Minutes are approved. At this point, we are scheduled to hold a public hearing. It is regarding a conditional use permit application submitted by Drew Tolzman for the establishment of a convenient storage, or what's more typically known as mini storage operations at 1003 Mason Street, which is lot 4, block 5 of the North Industrial Park for the legal description. It would be more, could also be described as the northwest corner of Mason Street and Sunrise Drive intersection. It's depicted on page 7 of your agenda packet. We have provided notice of the public hearing as required by statute. We have published it in the St. Peter Herald. We have sent notice to property owners within 350 feet, and we have also posted the notice on the bulletin board outside of City Administrator Prafke's office. Mr. Tolzman anticipates entering into a purchase agreement for that particular lot with the city council. The draft purchase agreement required that he obtain a conditional use permit before execution or commencement of the sale. And then in talking to the city attorney, we decided we'll get the conditional use permit before the council even gets to the actual reviewing of the purchase agreement, so we can get through a step one without having to incur additional staff time and resources. Mr. Tolzman then is looking for an option for the adjoining 3 lots, the one to the north, the northwest, and to the immediate west. And if the mini storage operations are successful, he will likely look to expand them up onto the adjoining properties. Anticipated it would be a 12-month option with the 12-month extension at the option of Mr. Tolzman. On page 8, it shows a hand-drawn site plan. It shows that there would be 3 mini storage unit buildings. 2 of the buildings are 40 feet by 100 feet. To meet the maximum lot coverage, the second building then was reduced to 35 feet by 100 feet. It would be anticipated there would be a 215 by 150 foot asphalt mat that would provide for the drive and aisles. That totals 32,250 square feet, which would comprise 69.6% lot coverage. The zoning ordinance requires that they be under 70%, so it is the minimum, or rather the maximum. There's no planned sanitary sewer or water services to be installed upon the property. An electrical transformer will be placed as per municipal and utility and best practice standards. Stormwater drainage as per Public Works would be accomplished via parking lot intake structures then that would be connected to the piped underground system that is located within Mason Street. Site or security lighting would be provided versus wall packs, which I've included a typical wall pack unit. It might not be the particular one that's utilized, but they would need to meet the zero cutoff or dark sky compliance requirements of the city, in that no light would be shed into the atmosphere or unnecessarily upon neighboring properties, nor the right of way. As you're considering any possible conditions, understand that the city council, as the property owner, has a much more leeway through the purchase agreement. They can put any conditions that they would deem appropriate in the purchase agreement. So there are considerations that are outside what Planning and Zoning Commission could do. And if the city council were to say it had to be pink, neon pink, that would be one of the conditions of the purchase agreement, but certainly not necessarily something that could be considered or would be considered by a planning commission, and not to suggest the council wants a neon pink mini storage unit in the industrial park. But for instance, there are some fencing standards that have been applied uniformly within the North Industrial Park, mainly around the city's water tower and substation. And there are some post configurations that have a poured concrete form that the city has possession of, and we make that available. So in fencing, for instance, there may be some standards imposed by the council outside of the planning commission that would be in the purchase agreement. With that said, there are 17 standards that a conditional use permit is reviewed by. Those are included on page 6 in your agenda packet. I will note that as the Planning Commission considered the matter, they ultimately recommended that you provide what's known as an unconditional conditional use permit. I have prepared a resolution on page 14 that would provide the unconditional approval as recommended by the Planning Commission. But at this point, it would be appropriate to answer any questions that you may have before opening the public hearing to comments, which from looking here, I don't expect any. Any questions for me?
I guess,
Larry.
I have a question about possible fence. I honestly I don't know, or honestly, I don't think it would be necessary, but I'm just wondering if that's in the plan someplace.
Yeah, he has no intention of installing a fence at this time, but we've had other businesses that once they've gotten open, they may have had some vandalism or some shenanigans or monkey business, if you will, and they've decided to put up a security fence and cameras in some instances. So if it is in the future, that would probably be addressed in the purchase agreement with the council, Larry.
Okay. Yeah, good. I just couldn't tell. This piece of property is so far out. don't know whether it would even pay to worry about a fence, but you know what I mean, far at the end of the industrial area.
Right?
Yeah.
And that
Okay.
invisibility might be one of the needs that they want to put up a fence, you know, kind of out of sight, who's
You
watching.
can see it both ways. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yep. Anything else, Larry?
No.
Any other member have any questions? Okay, I will open the public hearing then at 5:40. And is there anyone from the public? If there is, they must be magic. And so noting that there's no members of the public that have joined the BZA tonight, I will close the public hearing at 5:40 p.m. Again, there is a resolution that's been prepared on page 14, and I believe it continues on to page 15, that would provide for an approval as per the Planning and Zoning Commission's recommendation, essentially, once again, an unconditional conditional use permit. Would anyone be inclined to move the resolution?
I would move the resolution.
Thank you, Larry. We have a motion by Potts. Is there a second?
Davis would second.
We have a second by Davis. At this point, I'm going to have go individually and ask if you have any further questions or comments, and I'll start with Member Noel.
I have no further questions or comments. Have had the opportunity to talk about this on a couple of different occasions, and I have no reservations about the plan as it's presented tonight.
Thank you very much. Member Johnson.
I don't have any questions either. We've discussed this before and I've driven by the area a couple times and seems like a good fit for that, for the area and for the use.
Thank you. Member Davis.
Yep, no questions from me.
Member Potts.
No, I'm fine with it. Looks good.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the resolution as presented, providing the unconditional conditional use permit. I will call roll call, starting with Member Noel.
Aye.
Member Johnson.
Aye.
Member Davis.
Aye.
Member Potts.
Aye.
Thank you all very much. Motion's approved. I'll be in touch with Drew tomorrow morning and let him know that he's ready to get to the council for consideration of the purchase agreement and the option. So I guess I'd consider it pretty standard ones we've entered into with other property owners and developers out there. So thank you all very much for your attention to those that matter. I don't have anything as to a report. I would ask as a courtesy, does anyone have any questions or anything to add or thoughts?
I only got lots of thoughts, but they're not
Larry.
germane to the to the business. No, I think everything is fine. The Baker project, is that going to proceed okay?
Yep, I think Baker's ready to go. He's got his conditional use permit. The city council took the action to perhaps lessen the gateway ordinance requirements for that particular lot, and then he got his lot split approved. So now he has two lots.
Good.
So last I heard, he's going to be ready to go with the building permit, this spring. And from the way it sounded talking to him and what he had discussed with the paper, it sounds like things are promising. So.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? I asked the EDA if they have snide remarks, but I'm not going to go out with this group. So I would ask for a motion to adjourn then, please.
Noel will
So
move.
moved.
I'm going to go motion by Noel, second by Potts. All in favor of adjournment, say aye.
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 Thank you. Cindy, stop the recording, please.